From the Middle is a founding member of the Odd Pods Media Network. And so is our guest this week.
Oh, for the love. Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it? You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved.
From the Middle after dark over here.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to episode 105 of From the Middle. We are three middle-class guys living in the middle of America in the middle chapters of our lives with points of view somewhere in the middle. And we have a very special guest this week, the gentleman from Super Media Bros podcast, who also happen to kind of live in the middle of the country. And we're super excited to have you. Midnight Agent Raw and Okame, thank you guys so much for joining the podcast this week. How you doing?
Pretty good. A little tired, but yeah.
Good. Awesome.
Really tired.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you. We want to chat a little bit about your guys' podcast, which is fantastic. But for anyone tuning in for the first time, we are a comedy, culture, interview, entertainment style podcast. And myself, my brother Corey, and our good friend Kendall. And we just like to have a really relaxed and conversational podcast where anyone can just laugh along and enjoy one of their favorite drinks by the fire. And with that said,
Poultry.
yeah, well, you got to throw culture in there to seem cultured. We're from Ohio. If we don't say that, people will assume we're not. Anyways,
Comedy-ish. And when we say culture,
Forgot my smoker's jacket and everything.
yeah, many leather-bound books, and our houses smell like rich mahogany. So Super Media Bros podcast, we are super glad to have you guys. You happen to be a part of the Odd Pods Media Network with our show, but that's not exclusively why we had you on, because you also do a fantastic show. For anyone who's been listening for a little while, they might have heard one of your ads before, but for anyone who happens to be tuning in for the first time or somehow has missed one of those, give us the elevator pitch for your podcast. Tell us a little bit about your show. You've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, 2016?
Roughly.
Yeah, like September, October 2016. We generally just started it because we were doing a podcast with a third host, and that one didn't really work out too good. So me and Cody were just like, well, fuck it. It wound up being just the two of us most of the time anyway. So we just broke off and did our own shit. And it was the stuff that we wanted to talk about anyway, because, you know, music, movies, TV, gaming, all that shit. It's like we talk about it anyway. Cody and I say this all the time. It's the same conversations, just microphones in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I was the one that pitched the idea about why we have a mic in front of us when we talk. So
yeah, because I'd wanted to do a podcast for a while too, and then I was like, I don't even know if anybody would want to do it. And then you said it. I was like, well, fuck, there we go.
just do it.
What did you learn? What did you learn from that first go around that you could apply once you guys broke off and started your own thing? Like, were there any lessons learned, or like, definitely don't do this, or we definitely got to start doing this?
I think for us, the personalities have to actually match and same energy in order for everything to sync up very well. And also the knowledge as well, which the knowledge was still there with all three of us, but I think it was just me and him that really connected more than the third party person.
Mm-hmm.
And authenticity.
Yeah, I think you guys did that really well. And I have to say, by the way, you just redid a new logo, and your new logo is fantastic. I don't know if you want to do a shout out for the artist or tell us about your new logo, but how did you describe it when you were like ready to unveil it? You said it was a combination of, what was it, Richie?
Yeah. To me, it feels like WrestleMania meets Power Rangers.
Yeah.
And our friend Josh Hurst from Young Medicine It's a band out of Kansas that we interviewed a couple years ago, and we just got to be really good friends because they share a love of cult films like we do, and obviously their music's freaking awesome. So I hit him up and I was like, dude, would you be willing to do a revamp? And he's like, yeah, what do you want? I was like, I like what we have, but just put your flair on it. And I was like, as 80s/90s as you can make it. And he spat that shit out. And I was like, don't change a thing. This is great. We loved it.
Yeah, it's super cool. I think I don't remember exactly what I described it to you, but it felt like exactly what you described. It's like the coolest things that we were into in the 80s and 90s as kids. It was like a WrestleMania logo meets like a Pokemon logo and G.I. Joe and like all these awesome things just smashed together. And it just fits your guys' show so well because you do movies, games, cult films, all of that, but with such like fun energy about you that like the old one was really good anyways. And then you were like, I didn't think we could have a better logo. And here we are. And it's a beautiful way to describe it because that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's actually our fourth logo, I think. Because we used to do a rebrand every year, but it was like accidentally rebranding because we would just get bored with the one and switch to another one. But this one's like very finite.
I love the whole brand. It's like
around for more than a year though.
Yeah, I love the whole brand. It's like hot pink 80s, like Tron meets WrestleMania meets like a Trapper Keeper cover. Like it's dope.
Yeah, that's all the shit that we were into, man. So I mean, it just kind of fits like our personalities and what we do as a show. And I was like, this is perfect. And Cody was like, oh my God, this is great. Yeah.
You guys have gotten
like our childhood.
Yeah, exactly. You guys have gotten like a fair amount of traction. I was going through some of your videos this weekend, and I think like your highest is like 23,000 views. So you've had a fair amount of traction. And I wonder, and I know this is probably a little inside baseball this episode. We're going to talk, the behind the scenes of podcasting a little bit, as well as other things. But what for you guys do you think sets you apart from, I mean, how many geek culture, gaming, comics, movies, music, and entertainment podcasts are there? To stand out in a crowd like that is significant. So what do you think is you guys' secret to success? Because we could probably glean a few things from that.
I mean, if I had to say, I think it's the certain topics that we touch upon, like a few here and there, that make us pop more than the rest, I think. Because the thing with us, when the Derek Savage saga, that's the one that drove us apart from everybody else, basically.
Yeah,
dude. Like once we got into the whole Derek Savage Cool Cat shit, that one kind of propelled us into this weird like echelon of fuckery, honestly, because that whole
it's a fucking garbage fire, man.
It really is. That whole like thing is a dumpster fire that you cannot look away from. The creator, the content, and everything. But that also kind of fits into the stuff that we talk about, because we did not an interview. We did a review of that guy's gun safety video that he did, and we put it up against this surviving edge weapons, which is like this police training video out of Milwaukee that just got its own traction for being unintentionally funny. And that's the kind of shit that we're drawn to, is stuff that's unintentionally funny, cringe culture, cult films, like everything that was made seriously, but nobody fucking takes seriously. And hardly anybody talks about that shit. Like you can find cult film podcasts, and this is not a knock on them because I think a lot of them are really good. Nobody takes like a casual approach to it and like makes fun of it like all the fucking way. They're just like, oh, this part's good, but we're going to shit all over the whole thing for fun. And it's not even that these people suck at what they do, the movie makers, because I think a passion for making anything is like 100% for them. But God, you cannot deny sometimes the final product is just ass.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of our approach too is different, like you said, because we don't just hash on them or we don't praise them. We kind of like have our own like puns and jokes and like, oh, you remember that one movie we watched that was like, hey, that reminds me of this basically. So we kind of go back and forth like on tangents about shit like that.
So
yeah, a lot of our long-term listeners will get callbacks in each episode. Like if they're hearing the most recent Cult Cinema Showdown, they might hear a callback to like the 50th one because something similar happened, and we'll bring back past stuff for it. So there's always Easter eggs for people that have listened to us from the start.
That's cool. So I'm hearing one, you gotta like, it's helpful, I guess. I mean, you could talk about the MCU, but to talk about something like Derek Savage videos and Cool Cat, like a whole side weird corner of the internet. So just give an overview, because that's probably, like you said, your most successful series of videos and interviews. Like, just give us the very high level rundown of who the heck Derek Savage is and who Cool Cat is and what that's all about.
Derek Savage is a failed action star. And I say that because the motherfucker wanted to be an action star, but wound up getting a 2-second cameo in a Rodney Dangerfield movie. And basically he lives in the desert of Las Vegas and masturbates to his gun collection.
And he produces videos on the side.
Yeah, the Cool Cat guy the character is his childhood friend. And he started out making these books like for kids. But the problem is the dude ripped off like Goldberg, G.I. Joe, who else? Like, what was it? Like Pam Anderson, David Hasselhoff. Mm-hmm. And he started like just putting like, oh, Cool Cat loves pro wrestling. It's Bill Goldberg. Or Cool Cat loves the beach. It's Pam Anderson. But they're not actually them. And he was just using their image likenesses in cartoon form. And then people called him out for it. And then he just like changed it. And then he's like, well, I'm going to do movies. And he did this movie where he paid his way into this Hollywood parade thing, but he used all this footage for the same like movies he's made like 5 times in a row. And he would just add like 10 minutes of new footage here and there. So there's just like a plethora of like dumb shit in the wake. and he used the same Vivica A. Fox and Eric Estrada cameo like 4 times in a movie, like separately.
I have a quick
but also
question.
Bringing back to what you said earlier.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine.
You were talking about how he was using similar images for his books. He went on this big rant about fair use. And he would strike any YouTuber that would talk about his stuff in any form or fashion, negative or whatever. And he would be like, you can't use my stuff. I'm going to sue you. You know, all this whole nonsense. And then they have people retaliate with him saying like, no, Derek Savage, this is what fair use is. The way you're going about it is bullying, which is contradicting the whole Cool Cat and stop bullying kind of ordeal that he was doing on one movie. So he's just a big walking contradiction, basically.
Yeah, like the dude posed as a lawyer in a few emails. The fuck?
You can't afford a real one, so I mean.
Like emails to you guys?
Oh God, no, we've been waiting on it.
Have you?
We're still waiting for that gold star moment to pop up. But
I was gonna say, yeah, that's like you got to work toward that. I think,
dude, we've shit on him pretty hard, so I'm expecting it any day.
Are you guys in the same room or? Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at your background. You are okay. So like zooming in the same room. That's just funny to me. Like I want to get a camera shot of 2 guys zooming with each other in the same room. It's either that or the same beadboard guy. But
same interior design, yes.
Same interior designer. Were you guys expecting to go down that hole, or was it just sort of like it popped up once, we're gonna do this one thing, and you start investigating and you're like, holy crap, this is getting deeper, and then oh my goodness, what else has this guy done? Like, was it a trail that you followed, or did you already know this and just kind of start talking about it?
I don't think we actually intended for it to go this far, to be honest.
No, because we did the gun self defense for ladies review, and my partner, they were like, "Hey, there's a whole internet rabbit hole of this asshole," and that's exactly what started it.
Yeah.
It's like all you have to do if anybody listening wants to get like a real quick catch up, go watch Your Movie Sucks and I Hate Everything on YouTube. They have big videos on all the shit that went down like 4 or 5 years ago, and it'll get you caught up. And that's what we did. I was like, oh my God, this guy needs a foot up his ass, and we are the foot to do that. So,
like, we don't know how far to put the foot up there to actually get them to notice, like, hey, these guys exist.
that might explain the leprosy on the right side of my body.
That's true.
It's so funny. If you hadn't told me anything else and just said he posed as his own lawyer, part of me would think that was brilliant. And I had a flashback to somebody who was being interviewed on like Graham Norton or something. And it was somebody kind of big, like Tom Hiddleston or Benedict Cumberbatch or somebody like that, who pretended to be his own agent in response to emails to do things. So he didn't have to say no to people. So he made up like the whole persona for his agent. So he could just be like, oh, I'm so sorry, they're booked at this time. So part of me was thinking that's kind of brilliant until you tell me all the other stuff about him. And they go, oh, he's not brilliant. He's actually just nuts.
This guy's a dumbass.
Yeah.
Like, just, I'm being honest. Both of us are being honest. The dude, like, if you hear him talk.
If you have to sit there and say, I'm going to make an award ceremony for the 420 Awards and make it the third best or the fourth best award show ever, something is wrong with you. Flat out.
Yeah, because the dude recorded the first one in a venue, and then the last two, obviously because of the COVID pandemic, he has done it in his bedroom or garage.
Or someone's bedroom.
Yeah, and the awards are literally like fucking bowling trophies with like pot leaves on top.
Now, did you sit and watch
we
the
can't
entire
write this.
award show? Did you watch the whole award show?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We watched all of them.
We watched all three.
And was there anything?
It's every year.
Was there anything that surprised you that you took away from it? Like, wow, that was actually kind of thoughtful, or that was actually kind of well done, or was the whole thing? I've not seen any of it. I have no idea. Nothing.
I would be lying if I said yes.
Look. This motherfucker got his camera guy to come out and accept an award in a fucking costume that Cody described as a burrito with tassels, and his name is Doobie Dude. And then the guy is sitting there, he's singing. He's like, "Oh yeah, do a dance, Doobie Dude, Doobie Dude. Yeah, he likes to dance." Oh God.
Wow.
I'm having PTSD right now from that.
You guys are on to something
post-traumatic
because
stress doobies?
Mm-hmm.
I said post-traumatic stress doobies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Post-traumatic stress, Derek.
Yeah.
you guys are on to something because I've been watching a lot of Your Mom's House lately with Tom Segura and Christina Pajitsky, and it's basically a clip show. And they'll discover whether it's a TikTok or a dating video or just a weird guy posting videos on the corner of the internet. And they have such a massive following that it then becomes like a cornerstone for their merchandise. And then people will like look these people up and like try to find them. I mean, it could be a homeless person in the little city somewhere, but they have one catchphrase that turns into a t-shirt and stickers. And like, there's like this whole massive trend right now with a lot of podcasts and shows that it's like, just find a weird character on the internet. And I'm not saying that that's what you did. I'm just saying like people love it. They eat that stuff up. And it seems like you've stumbled upon that with this guy.
Oh yeah, we absolutely stumbled onto it. Like face first fell into this shit. It's like, what is going on? And this was after we established the Cult Cinema Showdown series.
Mm-hmm.
So it fit right in.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that. I hate to pivot off of this winner, but tell. I'd love to hear.
Use the term
Give us
loosely.
the spiel about Cult Cinema Showdown.
Okay, so I think the origins of this could probably be traced back to one of the last few episodes, actually the last two episodes of our old podcast that we did, which we actually took the audio from and we've made bonus episodes on this feed. The first thing we did was we talked about this Jean-Claude Van Damme movie called Pound of Flesh. It sounds as stupid as it is. And we were just riffing on this movie hard by itself. And we were like, we should do this again. So we fucking did Samurai Cop the next week. And that just kind of sat. And then we did this show. And we brought the Samurai Cop audio back for a bonus episode for this one. And it actually caught the attention of the guy that re-released that movie, because that movie was released in 1991 to a French market and never came to the States. And this guy just so happened to find the footage and had it restored and released in the States. So he got wind of it because we were actually going to do the sequel. And he got in touch with us and gave some background on it. And then the next thing we know, the fucking star of these movies reaches out to us and offers to come on the podcast. So we interviewed the lead actor on this shit, and he's probably one of the most well-known cult film figures in the industry. And the owner of Cinema Epic, which is the guy that owns the rights to these movies, was like, oh, you should talk about, more of these movies because we have a whole bunch of them and all this other stuff. And I shit you not, I pulled this out of my ass when I was talking to this guy. I was like, oh, yeah, we're going to do a series where we take two movies and put them against each other called Cult Cinema Showdown. Yeah. And it fucking took a life of its own. And we're like, 74 of those episodes in?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad Corey segued to Cult Cinema Showdown, because you've done a ton of those episodes on top of your regular episodes. It's like its own podcast within a podcast. And so I wanted to ask, in that whole process, and a follow-up question after this is going to be, have you found any that you've actually liked? But my first question is, what do you like most about doing the Cult Cinema Showdown now? Because it's its own living thing within your podcast. And like, I want to ask, what do you dislike about it? But they're bad movies. So watching bad movies has got to be part of it. But as generic as it sounds, what do you like about that process of ramping up to a Cult Cinema Showdown episode? What do you not like?
Well, see, for me, I wasn't as big into film and cult cinemas as much as he was. Growing up, I was more just, if it was in theaters, I'll watch it. That's pretty much about it. But now I got such a huge appreciation for all cult cinema films in general. So it's more of an excitement factor for me to sit there and go, oh, I want to see this film because it looks stupid on cover. Like Big Ass Spider or Tsunami or whatever the hell it might be called. And normally back in the day, I'd be like, I'm never going to watch this shit. But now I'm just like, I have to watch this.
And I think for me, I grew up in a video store. My family owned one whenever I was a child. So I grew up around every movie you could think of from the late 80s and early 90s. So I would spend all my time looking at the covers of these, being like, this looks cool. This looks cool. Years later, I'm like, oh, just the cover looks cool. These movies actually suck balls. We have found a few gems, though. Like, we generally enjoy doing these. And most of the time, even if we're shitting on a movie, we like it. There's a few that we were like, why did we waste our time on this? But other than that, it's always a fun experience. Ramping up to do them, it's always fun to see what pairs together really well. And I think for us, sometimes finding the schedule to do it is what's the most difficult task, because we work opposite hours of each other. But other than that, it's always a fun process because we know at the end of the day we're going to be having a good time shredding these movies. And then when we sit down to talk about them, just, pointing out shit that we saw and going on rants. Like shit, when we did Death Wish, it wasn't even part of that showdown. The sequels were. But when we talked about the first one, we were making fun of how Charles Bronson looks like he smells like mothballs and Old Spice. And it just went on this whole thing about how he wears specific cologne to kill people with. Like if he's in, well, what we would decide if he's in New York, it's Old Spice. And then,
no, if it was he was in Arizona, I think it was. That was Old Spice.
Right.
Or Stetson. No, that was Stetson.
Stetson, yeah.
Yeah. I think another thing to talk about too is like the whole Neil Breen experience.
Oh my God.
So the first films that we watched by him, that was kind of my experience of why the hell did we watch this? But then as we got along further into the saga, it was like, we have to rip this guy apart. Like it's such a, this guy was on a high horse pedestal kind of mentality that he has to be knocked down. Like that's how good he thinks his shit is.
Yeah, Neil Breen is in that upper echelon like Tommy Wiseau. He did a movie called Fateful Findings. It's his third film. Every movie he does has to do with him being some kind of like messiah person with a special magic object. And he's got to tear down the evil secret corporations in the government. He's got to tear the banks down. He's got to tear the world leaders down.
The banks.
The corrupt banks. Yeah. Oh, yeah. In the movie, when he successfully does this, mind you, there's a guy standing up there. He's like, today I am resigning as the president of the bank. Not just any bank.
The bank.
The bank.
Bank.
And it's like, what the fuck is this bullshit?
Yeah, he made himself to be this like world-class hacker to get into all the government secrets, and he's literally threatening everybody in the world. Like, I know all your secrets, so either you stop being corrupt or else.
And all four of his laptops are not turned on or plugged in. And he's supposed to be writing a book in this movie, and he's on the phone, I guess, with his publisher, and he just got this random book that looks like a dictionary. It's like, no more books. And he just throws it at his laptops. It's so stupid.
That you guys mentioned earlier, you said, part of what you think has made you successful or gotten you a certain amount of following is that you have the conversations you two would have anyway. You just throw a mic in front of you and you're authentic. And when you said the thing about Charles Bronson looks like he smells, like that's the type of stuff that you and a buddy would be talking about, like while you're playing video games or while you're hanging out. That's the stuff that people do. They want to be on a fly on the wall for those conversations and be a part of it. And it seems like you guys have really cornered that market. So kudos to you for that.
Now, I want to ask you if you've heard of or already watched, I'm sorry, I don't know your whole Cult Cinema Showdown backlog. I want to know if you've seen one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And I want to know what gems that you found. But we're going to do that right after we hear from one of our friends in the Odd Pods Media Network.
Welcome everybody to the Potaskew Podcast. I am...
Whoa, dude. No. This is our promo, not the show. I'm Rico.
Oh, sorry. I'm CJ, and we're the hosts of the Potaskew Podcast.
We're fans of pretty much anything and everything pop culture, including movies, TV shows, books, video games, comics, music, and of course, Kevin Smith. Now, while we do keep our fingers on the pulse of Silent Bob, he certainly doesn't need our help in promoting him.
You got that right. We do our own thing, with inspiration from the man himself and his mantra of why not. We've got stories about celebrities we've interviewed, theories of our own for certain movies, and we can usually tend to have a great debate about anything.
We also do commentaries on movies. Sometimes we ask our fans what they want to watch with us. So if you love the timbre of our vocal cords and want to watch a movie at the same time, give us a listen.
Stay tuned every Monday. There's always something new. And if you've been good this year, we may even give you a bonus episode from time to time.
So please be good and subscribe to and enjoy Potaskew, founding member of the Odd Pods Media Network.
So here's one of the worst films I've ever seen, and I'm gonna set this one up for you a little bit. So it's probably the mid 90s. I'm with my dad at a local video shop. I'm into GI Joes and Army guys and wrestling and superheroes, and I'm allowed to pick out a movie. And we're walking around the video shop in our little hometown, and I see a title of a movie that sticks out to me, and I think I know what it is. And the name of the movie is Cobra versus Ninja from 1987.
That's on our to-do list.
And in my head, I'm thinking G.I. Joe, and I'm thinking Cobra and Cobra versus Ninja. So I'm convinced that this is a G.I. Joe action movie. And my dad is trying to explain to me, I don't think this is what you think it is. And I'm like, no, I want this one. And it's the only time I really remember ever in my lifetime, really watching like 10 minutes of something and just going, what the heck did I just watch? And I turned it off, and we had to return it to the video store. I can't remember any other time in my life where I've like turned off a movie because I thought it was so bad. Pre-streaming era, it's different in the streaming era because it's easy to throw something on and turn it right back off. But like with a DVD or VHS, it was terrible. Now you guys watch way more cult films, so I can't wait for you to review this movie at some point. But the other thing I wanted to talk about, since you're not familiar with this one yet, what I do want to talk about though is what are some gems that you found in all of these cult, like what are some movies that you've walked away going, I would actually seriously be excited to watch that again.
Hey, before they do, Dylan, you have to tell us which cover, because is it this one that's pulled up now, or is it this one?
It is. It's very top left. Sorry, if you're on YouTube, you can see the cover. That's the one. Cobra against Ninja. Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, hold on. What the fuck am I looking at right now?
You can see as
the first two were actually legit. I love those two. This one looks like I don't know what the hell this is.
You can Matador
as a kid
versus
it looks like a high school fencing tournament
in Japan.
Yeah, because that guy's very Japanese. Let me tell you.
And I love that the ninja, even it says ninja on his headband, as if he needs to warn people. So you can see though, as a kid, I'm a G.I. Joe. I love G.I. Joes, and it looks like the Three Ninjas movies, like the little kids with the different colored ninja costumes meets like G.I. Joe. And I'm looking at this thinking, this looks good. Like there's a ninja. As an adult, I'm going, it says ninja on the ninja's headband. And that's where I'm at now. That's where we are.
You really need to clarify that that's a ninja.
Apparently they
dude looks like
I wasn't sure at first, but the headband just okay, now I'm good.
I like the Ronald
McDonald. Like if Ronald McDonald.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah,
I was gonna say it's like if Ronald McDonald was like, I'm gonna be a ninja of hamburgers.
That's how he infiltrates Burger King to get secrets.
Dude, he's got like chicken nugget throwing stars and shit.
Yeah. Or he has like the frozen patties and the ninja stars because it's actually harder to
And like he's got like the smoke bomb where he does like his whole ninja vanish, but it's like a dipping sauce of hot mustard. Just throws it on the floor.
Szechuan sauce.
Yeah, it just disappears. It's just like it's magic. I'm gone.
Yep.
Beautiful.
No clowning around here.
It comes as a big M.
That one got me.
I wonder who his arch enemy is.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
This is
so have you discovered any gems in there? Any in there that are like this was legit good?
Miami Connection.
Yeah.
Hands down. Miami Connection. Hard ticket to Hawaii.
Deadly Prey.
Yeah, oh god, Deadly Prey is so
I really wish I would have worn that shirt to the Zoom call because I actually love that shirt so damn much.
Yeah, dude, those movies are fantastic. But those were like really early on. Those were some of our first episodes.
Mm-hmm.
420 Massacre is a really good one too.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, there's a shitload. Oh my god. I saw this movie, but I don't think you had at the time. Rubber.
Yeah, we did actually. It was Rubber and Killer Couch.
Killer Sofa.
Killer Sofa. One of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Which that's been a classic right there. But then we did that versus Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Killer Tomatoes.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So, but has there been any movie that was like so surprising, so gemful that you're like, I can't shit on this one, or it was
Honestly,
just really hard to because you're expecting it to be so bad, but then you're like, this is actually pretty legitimate.
I think Hamburger the movie versus what was the one with Jim Varney?
Shit. I forgot the name of that one.
There's a movie that Jim Varney did where he plays the owner of a hamburger chain. And we put that up against this movie from 1986 or 88 called Hamburger the Motion Picture. And it was like the most ridiculous, raunchy, like gem of the 80s that you could find. But
Was
it
the first one called
on
Fast
how
Food
McDonald's-
from 1989?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jim Varney is Cowboy Bob,
Yeah.
I think is his name in the movie. But it's funny because Jim Varney had that real raspy voice.
Yeah.
You know, that nobody that didn't watch Ernest knew about. So he would talk and he'd be like, "Yeah, we're gonna come down to Cowboy Bob's Burgers, bitch." But we added the bitch part, and that kind of took its own life. Because Cody was like, "What if we just put a picture of Jim Varney up, and it just says bitch on it?" And we wound up putting that on our social media, and it was one of the funniest damn memes we ever made.
The funny thing is, as you describe these films, this is going to sound obvious, but as you describe them, I feel like it's an AI bot trying to write a movie description that's been given, like, fed no data other than to just write a movie description. It's like Jim Varney, fast food restaurant, whatever. We're talking about Ronald McDonald Ninjas. Like, it just feels like it couldn't feel less cohesive and more pieced together by the weirdest group of creatives to make movies. And that's not being critical of you. It's the only way to describe the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any that just felt so far out there? Like, none of this even, what's the most far out there one that you've watched? Like, nothing felt like it made sense. None of it went together. Like, it felt like different movies as you were watching it, because that's what I feel like when I think of cult movies, just bad, poorly put together.
I think
I wouldn't go as far as like bad. Funky Forest First Contact was probably the weirdest experience for me, because what it was, take about 4 or 5 different types of movies or TV shows or concepts and combine them into a long ass film, but the way they connect, it's so minor that you never catch it if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, I would say the same thing, actually. Like, the other one, I would say that it's a little more cohesive, but it still doesn't feel like it was the same movie as Raw Force, where these people get on this boat and then they get taken to this island, and it's like zombie ninjas with this mythical, like, rock. Like, it's not like a rock collection, but it's like this specific rock is worth a shitload of money, but it's in this cave and you have to mine it out. And these people went there to get it, but this island just has zombie ninjas and cannibals and shit on it. And then you have like a ragtag group of like 7 people. Like, you have like the professor, Marianne, the skipper too, the billionaire, his wife. Basically, it's fucking Gilligan's Island versus zombies on an island.
Wasn't there a little Karen Mitchell in it?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Good old boy Cameron Mitchell. Goddamn.
Mm-hmm.
Cody, what was the one you mentioned? I missed the title.
Funky Forest First Contact.
Well, the
Nice.
great thing is, since we've never talked about cult films on our podcast, if anyone needed a new list of titles, you've just given them plenty of ammunition for the rest of the summer. You got, I mean, on top of just going to your page and finding all the ones that you guys review. So what are some of your favorite, we talked about you do movies and games and cult films. What are some of the other favorite topics that you guys have discussed over the years that aren't necessarily like your main slate of topics, but you've just had a lot of fun diving into whatever? Is there anything else?
Honestly, some of the times that we go on to, and this might have been some bonus episodes when we start our Patreon, when we would go do the rabbit hole of like the watch alongs on the YouTube, like commercials, like old commercials from the 80s and 90s, or when we would do those when you can like finish a story but you type in basically it's like Mad Libs or whatever.
Yeah, it's similar to Mad Libs. It would randomly generate a story for you, and you had to read it out basically.
Yeah, like stuff like that's a lot of fun.
Oh, the sparkling water challenge.
Yes, we actually did a sparkling water challenge where we did a taste test of all the sparkling waters, like LaCroix, Bubbly, Pellegrino.
Mm-hmm. Which was a funny story because we went and seen Haywire in concert in New Orleans years ago. And the opening guy, he played a trumpet, and it was like Indian trap type music, but he drank LaCroix, like, throughout the whole entire set. And we hashed the shit out of this guy just because he drank LaCroix.
Balkan Bump was the guy's name.
That's what it was. Yeah.
The artist's name was Balkan Bump.
So I too
Yeah.
just went through.
Yeah.
I just did a giant taste test of my own of sparkling water in the sparkling water world. But that's because like I'm a sparkling water person. I'm the kind of guy who drinks sparkling water. So where
I drink it too.
where did you guys land on after your taste? What did you learn?
Then we hate LaCroix.
Yeah, LaCroix, however you say it, is probably the actual freaking worst. I like sparkling water and I drink it, so I can tell a difference big time between certain brands and stuff. I think Bubbly is probably my favorite.
Okay.
I think that was really the only one I can drink, honestly.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it was pretty good though.
Man.
LaCroix is just put it to you this way. I shit on LaCroix so bad I completed the holy trinity of being blocked on every social media outlet by them. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm not kidding you.
Oh, good for you.
That was a goal. Thank you. Thank you. I feel accomplished.
Gold star for us right there.
That's it, dude.
Have you had the V or forget exactly? I know what the can is. We actually have it in our house right now. It's from Aldi. It's the Aldi brand.
Aldi is awesome.
Yeah, like we stacked that one up against. Did this taste test of Pellegrino was in there, Perrier, Topo Chico. This random
Topo
one
Chico is awesome.
Yes, that one actually is my favorite. And then this random one from Aldi and a couple others. And Topo Chico came out number one. Aldi was a close second.
Is it just called, it's VIE? V?
Yeah.
Or Vi?
V or Vi, I don't know, but it's like a blue and silver can.
Yeah.
I'm all about that.
I like
I'm all
Aldi
about Topo
stores.
Chico. Yeah.
My partner is actually from Ohio, and when we went up there to visit their family, we went to one because they were just like, I gotta take you to Aldi. And I'm like, what's the big deal about Aldi? And then I was like, oh, it's actually pretty cool. So
it's so cheap that the card ain't free.
that's right.
Yeah.
Quick shout out to Aldi. Their crab rangoon and lobster roll seafood dips are freaking fantastic and like so cheap.
Random.
It's so cheap you swear they're gonna make you sick. Like there's no way this can be this cheap and be seafood and not make me ill. But somehow it pulls it off. So I got to give him a shout out for that because I did not immediately get sick from eating the full container. So
speaking of shout outs, we all got a wonderful shout out from Kevin Smith. And Richie, I wanted to ask you, so you said your parents owned a video store. Have you seen The Last Blockbuster on Netflix, the documentary?
I want to. It's on my queue.
Yeah, so Kevin Smith and a bunch of other folks are going into like the history of like mom and pop video stores and how like you only had one copy of like huge Blockbuster, not the store. Blockbuster as in hit movie. They only had like one copy. Sometimes they'd splurge for something like Terminator 2 and get 3 copies. And then profit sharing came out and Blockbuster could say we got 100 copies, and that sort of like it really impacted the mom and pop video store owners. But what was that like growing up? I mean, did you have access to all the movies and games you wanted?
Hell yeah, dude. At the end of the day, if somebody didn't check out like a game or movie I wanted, I brought that shit home. And I had the screener copies of multiple movies. I had the screener copy of Ernest Goes to Jail. I had the screener copy of the second and third Ninja Turtles movies. I had the screener copy of In the Army Now by Pauly Shore. Bunch of stuff, random movies. The one thing that I was the most upset about was that, like, close to the end of us closing it down, there was a Wes Craven's New Nightmare Freddy Krueger standee, and I wanted that motherfucker so bad. And before I could ask for it, my grandfather shredded it.
Oh.
And I was so fucking mad because it was him with the fedora and the trench coat and the knives. But granted, at the time, I was like 8, 9 years old. So I know they probably wouldn't let me have it anyway, but I wanted it.
I think that was the rule. I worked at a Blockbuster for a while and they had to destroy all that promotional stuff, but like you'd always try to take it home if you could.
Oh no, you can, but they don't ask, don't tell. You know. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it was sad to see it go. It was a lot of fun while it lasted. You know, I always have really good memories of it. But I don't know that a physical video store could actually survive in today's world unless you have a plethora of people that are highly nostalgic, like the 5 of us are, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but it's no doubt.
Kudos to that last Blockbuster being alive still.
But it's no doubt part of the reason where you are today, right? Like, what happens to a kid whose family owns a movie store? He has Super Media Bros podcast.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also,
the dream.
Also, rest in peace to Family Video. Damn it.
Yeah, there was one of those still open close to me, like not that long ago. Like, I could have popped over, and the only thing that really helped them, a lot of them, especially in our area, they would be attached to like a pizzeria, like a Marco's Pizza or something. And so they made it really easy for people to go pick up a pizza and grab a movie and be on their way. But I was thinking about that as you were talking about it. I'm like, I don't know, some of those family videos might have even lasted quite a bit longer than
within the last couple of years. I had one near me. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like they haven't disappeared. It's not been that long. So, it's funny that you mentioned that your partner's from Ohio. You guys are out of Lake Charles, Louisiana area. When I mentioned that to my wife, her grandmother was from Lake Charles. So anytime I say Super Media Bros, she's like, yeah, she's like kindred spirit. She's not listening to your show. I'm not going to lie to you, but it's like, yeah, Super Media Bros, because you're from Lake Charles. But I did think it would be funny. We've talked a little bit about some of the Ohio stereotypes and Midwest stereotypes on our show, and things that, you know, the whole idea of saying, oh, you know, let me scoot right past you there, and trying to be like super polite. And then people telling us that we have an accent versus folks in your part of the country. So, or in your neck of the woods, I believe is the Today Show used to say it. So I wanted to ask, are there any stereotypes from Lake Charles or Greater Louisiana or the Greater South that you want to take a moment to confirm or deny to our general Midwest audience?
That sounds like a fun time.
I'm gonna put you on the spot a
Where do
little
we-
bit. And you even
Yeah, go
Where do we
ahead.
start?
and while you're thinking,
I would say
oh, go ahead.
I would say the whole everybody has a pet alligator stereotype is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Where we live, you have to go further south to find alligators, and even then, it's a stretch because Lake Charles sits on the Interstate 10 band. Like, we are easily connected 2 hours from Houston, an hour from Lafayette, 2.5 from New Orleans, and you only will get actual true Cajun and Creole cooking from this line south. Anything in like middle to northern Louisiana, that ain't real Cajun.
Mm-hmm.
Now, would they disagree with you, or do they kind of know it?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
It depends on where you go.
Yeah. So conversely, we recognize that we have a very bland kind of palate up here. It's a lot of green beans, potatoes, and corn, lightly salted and buttered, because that's just a lot of what people eat around here. We have very good beef and very good pork and chicken. You guys have a whole other palate and style of food, and like it's like a food biome that's like the surrounding states, that it's like your thing. I don't know, everyone else says that everyone else drives terrible except where they live. So like Ohio drivers think they drive good and that everyone else is bad. What about your
Oklahoma has the worst fucking drivers. No, I'm not shitting you.
That Oklahoma.
Yeah, because I moved to Denver, Colorado in 2007. Drove up there. And my best friend at the time was riding shotgun with me to help us get to Denver because he doesn't need a map to get there. And we're driving through Oklahoma, and nobody used their lane change signal or anything like that. And so he got so pissed off and was yelling out the window at these people. And he was just like, you know, the whole, oh, did you get your license from a Cracker Jack box? And that wasn't even like the funny part. I just looked over at him and I was like, oh no, they got that Oklahoma diploma. And that became like the biggest running joke between me and him, that shitty drivers have the Oklahoma diploma.
Well, I'm glad we can all agree in the Midwest and the South that the Plain states are the worst. So we can just unite around that one. Sorry, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Kansas. Apparently,
We're
you're
not
some
sorry.
of the worst.
We're not sorry. Let's just be real for a second. But no, I will go on a tangent about our drivers, okay?
Huh?
Go through a flood or heavy rain, we're not bothered by it one bit. I mean, proof of that earlier, like last week and the week before, we can drive through flood water, no problem. Throw some ice cubes on the road, everybody wrecks every 10-foot radius of each other. They can't drive on snow or ice or just a little bit of cold weather at all.
No, but they'll NASCAR the fuck through some bad rain.
Yeah. Makes no sense.
Can echo that a little bit, even not as far south, but I moved from Columbus area to Louisville, Kentucky. I lived there for about, and they had like a dusting. I'm not exaggerating, maybe an inch or something like that of snow. To us, a dusting, and then the Minnesota people look at us and laugh. I get it, fine. But there was maybe an inch of snow and everything shut down in Louisville, like businesses. It was like 3 days worth of shutdowns for about an inch of snow. It's just, it's one of those moments where you go, I guess it's just all relative. And the Minnesota people would come here and be like, what? It's only 2 feet. Just drive through it. And we're like, that's a little much for us. But I get it. You know, it's fine. But it is funny how like you don't think Louisville is that far south until you move there and realize how much different culture can be. And really quickly snow drops off, like the amount of snow accumulation, but it's how it's handled is wildly different. So that's not even just you. You don't have to go all the way down to southern Louisiana to get that. So don't feel bad.
So I'm poking around Reddit trying to find stereotypes for you guys.
Yeah, that's it. Just you don't want to touch
that's
on.
gonna be great. I'm all about some Reddit Q&A Can you elaborate further? Or
The ridicule at you mean?
Yeah.
That's it.
So somebody had mentioned that people in Louisiana celebrate everything. There's a festival every weekend. Doesn't matter what it's for.
Yeah.
There's
God,
frog festival, sugarcane, rice, crawfish, shrimp.
That's all
I'm
down
from
there.
the rice capital of the world.
Rice capital of the world?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Crowley. So
And
yeah,
then-
we celebrate the rice festival every year. Rice.
And then everybody's a Saints fan. Even Santa Claus is a Saints fan. Someone had mentioned that. Even in the bag year of 1980, are you guys familiar with the bag year?
A little bit. I think it's more LSU than anything here.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Tigers are like everywhere. Saints, I mean, yeah, you got your diehards and stuff, but you do have people that are fans of other sports teams that live here like you would everywhere else. But everybody here is a diehard LSU Tigers fan.
I mean, shit, I even have a friend that's a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan.
Well, they're
He
everywhere.
lives in Lake Charles.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Nobody can get rid of that.
We don't talk about the Cowboys.
No, I try not to.
Oh, you got Cowboys in Oklahoma too, huh?
Yeah.
Driving.
Is there a Baton Rouge and New Orleans rivalry? Like you're a Baton Rouge person or a New Orleans person? I've heard that.
As far as comparison to crime rate, maybe. But
yeah, I think that's about the only comparison, really. It depends on what part of each that you go to, though.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, like you have like the nicer parts of Baton Rouge, then you have like the real like bad rundown parts, just like New Orleans. But that's everywhere you go. You're gonna have that, good or bad, in almost every city you go to.
mm-hmm.
New Orleans, unfortunately, just had a lot of devastation after Hurricane Katrina, and in a lot of ways it's recovered, but in a lot of ways it still hasn't, believe it or not. Like even 17 years later, 18 years later,
yeah,
it's been a long time. But oof.
Does New Orleans is New Orleans in relation to tourism? Is it like a love-hate relationship? Like, we don't want any of you here, but you also spend a lot of money while you're here, so fine. Is it a tolerance thing with everyone touristy visiting New Orleans, or does the city genuinely seem to embrace it?
I hate the fact that it's a tourist section of Louisiana, because if anything devastating hits Louisiana, they'll take more attention to New Orleans than they do anywhere else.
Mm.
And that's like the biggest fact right there. However, the actual tourist itself, like the attraction, is actually worth going to see, even though it does attract some interesting people. But the actual going to New Orleans is a good experience.
Yeah. Any other stereotypes you want to weigh in on? You want to certify or you want to deny?
That everybody here talks like in The Water Boy.
Yeah.
That's like the most inaccurate fucking description ever. Even though there are people that do talk like that, not all of us do.
Yeah.
We don't all sound like that, no.
How Duck Dynasty is the average person?
Duck Dynasty is the biggest sham ever. Those fuckers grew those beards out for that show, for the imagery. They are nothing like it. My ex-wife met Willie, talks nothing like that, acts nothing like that. It's a fucking farce. The whole thing.
I thought you were about to say with the water boy thing, though. I thought you were going to say not everyone talks like that. I mean, most of us talk like that, but not everyone. But not everyone talks.
In the film, yes.
Look, just because 98% of us talk like that doesn't mean all of us talk like that. Okay? I really thought that's where you were going, but I'm glad that you disproved that. Well, thank you guys so much. I want to give you a chance to plug anything that you want to plug. Where can people find you? any parting thoughts? It's been a pleasure having you on and chatting with you. Please tell people where they should go find you and check you out.
Well, first of all, thank y'all for having us on and sitting through our brand of dumbassery, because that's a thing.
Not many people can tolerate our dumbasses.
Yeah, true.
We get it.
But
We thrive
did
on
wanna say one
disappointing
thing, though.
people. It's great.
yeah, I do want to say one other thing though, because like having gone to Ohio a couple times, believe this or not, like Ohio and Louisiana are strikingly similar except for a few things. Corn being one of them. Because my partner jokes that they are literally just a giant stalk of corn in a human skin suit. But no, you can find us at Super Media Bros _ on Twitter. That's probably where we're the most active. Our Facebook page is like a fucking graveyard, so you won't get much interaction there. Just leave us flowers and shit on the tombstone.
Unless you have aunts and grandmas and people that are on there still.
Right, people that are watching this on YouTube, people that take stuff like people that take sleep like this, like when they do their profile pictures, they do it like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just like sitting there like, oh my god, this is the best picture ever. Let me take it 50 fucking times.
That's a Retail Extended family
shot
to follow us.
No, those are the people that sit there and say, how do I work this camera? And they're still staring at the camera lens doing it. And then they take like 100 pictures.
Yeah, and then you'll see a million variations of that same photo with different filters, like a band of roses, and then there'll be one with an American flag and then sparkles behind them, and then like Happy Easter across their face. You'll see
Happy Easter, but it's like
but it's July.
yeah. It's like Happy Easter, but it's like months later. You can follow us on Instagram at Super Media Bros Podcast, supermediabrospodcast.com.
Yeah.
Which we actually just revamped the website a couple months ago. So
got to get that slick new logo out there. And also for anyone who listens to our show, you are under the Odd Pods Media section on our YouTube channel. So if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, you can literally scroll down, go to Odd Pods Media Network section and click Super Media Bros there and get directly to your YouTube channel that way. So thank you guys so much. It's been a total pleasure having you on. Thank you for talking about some of the cult films that you've enjoyed. I can't wait to hear your review of Ninja versus Cobra, or Cobra versus Ninja, or Cobra against Ninja. I don't know what it's called.
The Ronald McDonald Ninja.
Dude, you know what? Like, when we do that, we should have y'all on. Like, all three of y'all should watch that, and y'all come on and hang out with us, and we'll do that. That would be a lot of fun.
That sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. We absolutely love having you on. Thank you everyone for listening. This has been episode 105 of From the Middle. If you want to head over to artiusman.com, that's ARTIUS man.com, use promo code The Middle, get yourself some killer beard oils, candles, and some other products for folks, because there's super cool stuff there. And did I say 25% off your first order? Because if not, you should definitely do that. Thank you everyone again. It's been awesome. Peace.